right, guys. Thank you for bearing with us. My presentation is not going to be that long. I am representing for an amazing group of humans who could not be here today, all the way from Sheffield in the UK. This is their product, our product, but this is their baby. And so I'm going to talk to you about using roadmaps to close the feedback loop. So some of this may look familiar because you saw Todd and some of our presenters talk about this morning during keynote. And again, just before I dive in, I do want to give credit to all the things you're going to see to our feedback team over in Sheffield. At this point, sorry, and you're going to bear with me a little bit. I am reading a little bit from these notes because some of the stuff is a little bit of fresh content. So I mentioned this morning, but I head up our product operations team here at Pendo. And prior to this role, I joined as director of product here at Pendo. Prior to that, I was managing multiple teams back at Itwaru and then was a PM myself at Jeffries. The thing that I always found common in terms of pain was that no matter what role I was in product, feedback loops and road mapping is always a pain for me and my team. And so at Pendo, our ops team over the last 2 years has grown from 1 to 10 people. In that time, our company itself, we've grown from about 400 Pendozers to now close to 800. And then obviously our customer base has also expanded tremendously. And so one of the things we found most challenging during the growth period was helping people stay aligned on all things that are happening on the roadmap and then all things that are dropped as well. I think it's really important for you to share when something ends up being dropped in addition to something that's being added. So luckily along the way, we embraced and adopted feedback as our own central tool and our own system of record for our company when it comes to anything customer feedback. It gave the PMs the ability to have all customer feedback, qual and quant related, in one system, which was really cool. So we'll show you what that looks like today. And it gave the ability to our team to close loops more efficiently and keep everybody updated. And so what you're looking at here is this like lovely road map thingy. I think the sun might be bothering it, but product people are expected to have some sort of lovely image of what's going to happen in their world, built on their vision and their strategy, ready at any given time. And so what's happening is, if you're building year-long roadmaps or creating short-term plans for visibility, there's a lot that goes into your decision-making. And I'm going back to the quant and qual, that there's a healthy amount of quant and qual data that's going into all of your decision-making when you're building out your plans. What we don't want to see is something that looks really nice and then people don't really understand why something's on there. So your roadmap needs to tell a story as well. So how can you be sure that what's on there reflects the needs of your customers and aligns to your company vision and strategy? The other thing that's really hard to do sometimes is communicate what's coming to various levels of stakeholders. So you've got folks that are responsible for the buy-in, you've got folks that are responsible for execution, partners across the business, and each of them kind of needs a varied level of detail when it comes to seeing your roadmap and understanding what's going on. So today we're going to look at 3 key best practices we use at Pendo that helps us create product roadmaps that really matter. Okay. The first step to tackling and keeping a pulse on all of your feedback is having it in a central area. And that's what I mentioned earlier, is feedback at Pendo is our own tool, and we dog food it, and we use it, and everything is thrown in there. I've seen spreadsheets, emails, Google Docs, Slacks, text messages, paper napkins. Like, I'm sure each of you have seen some very weird ways of keeping track of feedback, but at the end of the day, you need to figure out where you're going to centralize it and where you're going to find a way, how you're going to find a way to make sense of it all. Your roadmaps can't be built with customer pain in mind without first having a structured way to look at all of it. So by having one source of truth, you're creating a powerful library for your product teams to draw from. And for us, feedback gives our customers an easy and convenient way to be able to be heard and also make sure that our team can learn from and use the feedback data with confidence. I keep saying quant and qual, and that's what our feedback product has, is we use the data with confidence because not only is there qualitative, hey, I'd like this or I'd like this change, but there's quantitative data coming in, and we'll talk a little bit about that soon. So when everything's centralized, again, it makes things a whole lot easier on your product team. Okay. What you're seeing now is we'll talk through it, but today, more than ever, it's important to allow your customers to share feedback with you at any given moment. We have so many different forms of communication coming at us at any given time that you want to make sure that you're capturing the pain in the moment that they're experiencing that pain before they lose context and then they can't provide you that valuable insight and information you're looking for. And so for us, you're able to create a custom portal. Sorry, make sure that's playing for you all. There we go. That's the demo. We have a custom portal for feedback that your customers can go in and input the feedback in the moment that they're feeling that pain. It makes them feel like they're a part of the process too, as they're kind of going through and learning what's out there, just to be able to give you back information really quickly on what's working. This also helps you create this direct relationship with the customer versus kind of having them go through customer success all the time or whatever medium you have. Not saying that that is not a healthy route, but it gives the PMs a little bit more closeness when it comes to having customer interaction, which is something that we value tremendously here at Pendo. Okay, so the next critical item I'm going to share is that if you're just using qualitative feedback alone, it's kind of like a sandwich without a filling. It kind of feels, it's good, but it's really not going to get you to satisfaction. So to truly make impactful decisions, you're going to need a complete view of your users, inclusive of the feedback that they're giving you. And what you're seeing now, once this plays on screen, is you can see your customer usage data and feedback in one place in Pendo, which is really nice, right? And so over the past few months, we've been working hard at increasing the ability to pull this experience together and increase the number of integration points so that you have a complete picture of qual and quant behind the feedback data that's coming in. An example of this is you can now create a segment of users who voted on a particular feedback request and be able to target a guide directly to them to say, hey, would you like to be in this beta program? Or, hey, we've released this feature. This is something we know you were interested in. Please give us some more feedback on this. One of the things that our tech writer loves is the ability to actually target guides so that it reduces a little bit of noise within your application and all the messages that customers are getting bombarded with all the time. The next thing is making roadmaps work for you. My first boss in product said to me, Christine, the number one rule that you have to remember is know your audience. And so I mentioned earlier that with stakeholders, they all vary, right? We've got people who we have to say, we're thinking of this, we need your buy-in in order to move forward. We have people that we're thinking, hey, we have to sell you this story to the engineers so that they feel empowered and want to kind of build the thing out. And so you want to be able to paint a different picture for each of them, and that requires you giving them different levels of information. So the easy thing to do would probably be to create multiple roadmaps. But even if you have a kick-ass product ops team like I do, you can't do that. Like, it's not sustainable. Things kind of fall off the rails and things don't align at some point in time. So we've got changes that are coming that's going to help you through this. And so what you're seeing now is coming from the feedback team. There's roadmap flexibility through capabilities like nested feedback that's coming. So today in feedback, you're seeing the ability to drag one feedback item onto a roadmap. We're going to be giving you all the ability to have kind of a hierarchy. So for those of you who are familiar with Jira and the way that's structured, you've got initiatives, epics, I forgot the other thing. You guys get where I'm going. What happens is sometimes customers will submit feedback that's really related. So let's pick, a group of you that say, hey, I want something done on your grids, right? But it falls under a larger initiative that we're taking under our wing. And so we want to make sure that all of that is nested in a way that you're feeling heard and you're seeing the overall value of the big change that we're making. And the new changes are going to allow for this to happen, which is really cool. All right, so just quickly close. Remember that centralizing your feedback data is important, or you're going to be missing out on vital insights. Combining what users say and with what they do is really important to complete a picture, and then creating multiple roadmaps to address the needs of different stakeholders is sometimes necessary, but not necessary. Just make sure you've got different views within your feedback roadmap to be able to tell your story. I think you're all familiar with this now at this point, but you can go ahead and scan the QR code. You'll find the presentation slides here. And you can also go over to the feedback booth if you have not already to get a demo of all the things that I talked through. And that's it. Thank you guys for attending.